From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, I'm starting to see some better signs, or at least some good news to start off the morning, because this is looking at the heat intensity of the fires. If we look at them since yesterday through the night, they were still burning fairly hot. Okay, but what we'll notice here in the last few frames, we're seeing less and less orange on the map, and at a point, once it stops, no orange. Now, what that's telling us is that the fires, at least, are not burning as hot as they were yesterday evening and through the night. Now, that's a good sign. The fires are still active. I actually saw someone make a comment like, well, this isn't showing the activity from a fire, so that must mean it's not active, but it is. That's the bottom line. They're still active. They're just not burning as hot. But that is a good sign. You know, the thing is, when it comes to these types of fires and these fires in general, that's always a good sign to have. Okay, so here's what we got. This is also just kind of looking at the fires in general. So we're not looking at just how hot the fires are burning, but this image here shows what the satellite is picking up with as far as any kind of heat signatures. And you can see, as we were talking about this yesterday, most of those heat signatures are off to the north and to the west. And then, of course, some activity here, as we can see, off to the east as well. So here's the bottom line. If you want the latest on the acreage of the fires, what the latest is on the fires, number one, I highly recommend you get the Watch Duty app for your phone. Just type in Watch Duty. It's a great app. I highly recommend it. Number two, I have a great site. I have a great page on my website, weathernorcal.com. Go to the fire section, and that's a great one-stop shop. It'll show you where the fires are. It'll, of course, give you an interactive map with Watch Duty, and you can check out the latest fire weather watches and warnings, and you can also, on there, check out the latest evacuation orders and watches and all that good stuff. Just a great location to check out the latest on the fires. And, of course, I will cut in whenever I can and do updates on Facebook to kind of give some latest on the fires as well. So I'm going to continue to monitor these here very closely as a lot of people are concerned in some of these local communities, especially off to the north and west. We've got more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. In fact, we could even see some here this morning, but I think most of it will kind of develop in the afternoon. That being said, I don't expect the activity to be quite as widespread as it has been over the last few days. Now, the heat, it has certainly been a factor as well. We can't forget about that as well. But the temperatures are on their way down. It's still going to be hot today, just not as hot as it was. And temperatures will really begin to cool down by the time we get into the weekend. And next week, we can be talking about a chance for some more rain. And hopefully, at this point, it looks like rain and not necessarily widespread thunderstorms. And we'll get into that here a little bit later. So here's what it looks like today. Temperatures, again, hot, right? But not the 110 degrees plus that we've seen. 104 for Redding, 101 for Red Bluff, and Chico about 100. Now, one of the reasons why we may not get as hot is because we could see some of that thunderstorm development here this afternoon. That would mean more clouds, and that would help to keep our temperatures from getting as hot. However, still a bit more muggy than we're used to. Thunderstorms, obviously, in the mountains, pretty much anywhere you go. Temperatures there in the upper 80s to low 90s today. So this area of low pressure right here has been one of the key sources for the thunderstorms. And what I mean by that is with the counterclockwise rotation around that low, it's drawing into the subtropical moisture, the monsoon moisture, and making its way into Northern California. Of course, you can see all the clouds that are over us and the showers and thunderstorms that we've seen here. The thing is with this low pressure system, it is showing signs of shifting eastward. Now that's significant, because what's going to happen is eventually we'll get cut off from that upper level flow of moisture, and our chances for thunderstorms will start to diminish. But this is going to slowly shift to the east. Now, when I say that, as far as shutting us off from that moisture, not everyone will be. And we'll take a look at future casts here in a second. In the long range, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So 8 o'clock this morning, we could still be looking at some showers out there. As we take you to about the afternoon hours, you see as we go to 4 p.m., we could see some of those showers and thunderstorms developing in parts of the valley, but of course we've got it all over for the coast, the inland areas, and all of the mountains, isolated thunderstorms, and of course that includes the valley. So that's what it looks like this afternoon. Okay, and now we go into about 6 p.m. Still some activity in the valley. You see how it's beginning to break apart, especially off to the west, and just some isolated thunderstorms in the mountains. But again, you'll notice it's not all over the place, right? We're just looking at isolated activity here. Then as we go into about 10 o'clock tonight, look at this, still maybe some activity here left over for the valley, but it's beginning to kind of really wrap itself up and dry out late tonight and early tomorrow morning. There's tomorrow morning at about 8 a.m. We're looking at dry conditions across the board. Good news there, right? Now, well, the rain would be good, but we don't want the lightning strikes. So we go into noon on Friday. Now we're beginning to set ourselves up with more thunderstorms. You can see a thunderstorm developing to the west, the north, and not to mention to the east. At this point, I think the valley will be dry on Friday. So let's take a look at the future here. We go into 6 p.m. on Friday. It's mainly Siskiyou, Modoc, and the eastern mountains that are seeing thunderstorms. So remember now I was saying we're getting cut off from that flow. As the low pressure system moves to the east, we're still getting that south flow into the eastern mountains, and then it kind of comes around this side here. But we're not seeing the activity here because we're seeing less of the instability, less of the moisture in Trinity County, and as a result, probably won't see as much activity. There's Friday at 11 p.m., still a little bit of activity off to the east. All right, so let's take you into Saturday. Unfortunately, it looks like we could be looking at the potential for more thunderstorms for everyone in the mountains, but still dry in the valley. We take you into Sunday. Now, at this point, we still have a chance for showers and thunderstorms. So this trend that I've been talking about looks like it's still going to stick through Sunday. Now, by Monday, we were expecting a break. But now it looks like any activity will be off to the east. Modoc County southward into the eastern mountains, and then of course down into the northern Sierra. But it looks like everyone else should remain dry, just have those clouds out there. Now, I want to show you something that's rather interesting as well. This is going to start popping up more and more on social media. So we have right now what is a tropical storm Hillary, okay? So what's going to happen is I think it will eventually later today develop into a hurricane and a Category 1 hurricane. Right now is at about 2 a.m., the latest report coming in at 70 miles per hour. So again, we're probably going to be transitioning into a hurricane through the morning hours. Now, what's interesting about Hillary is the track. So let's take you here. This is a fairly significant hurricane. It could eventually become a Category 4, still far from any land, but Category 2, and it's working its way down into the Baja Peninsula. Now, this is around, say, the Ensenada area, going up in Tijuana here as well. You're talking 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is significant. You could be looking at some pretty heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and not to mention the swells out along the coast as well. So there could be some problems. We may be hearing about some damage in parts of, not a ton, it's not going to be massive damage, but I think we're going to hear about some damage here out along the coast here. Now, let's talk about Southern California, because Southern California, at this point, it looks like it may not be a tropical storm by the time it does make its way to Southern California, but we could be talking about some gusty winds, 40, 50 miles per hour, and stronger than that at points, and not to mention some of that rain. Now, the track of this depression, because at this point it'll just be a low pressure system, this will move off to our east. Now, that's significant because depending on exactly where it goes will depend on how much rain we could get out of the system. You saw that rain on Monday off to the east. That's because that's on the back side of that rotation around that area of low pressure. And I think that could bring some rain. I'm hoping that it'll just be in the form of rain and not necessarily thunderstorms entering the picture. So we'll continue to monitor the track of Hillary, but that's what it's looking like right now. Okay, let's talk about those temperatures, because now we're talking about temperatures in the low 90s, Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. And then they go up a little bit through next week, but at least we're breaking away from the triple digits at this point. So there is relief from this pretty big heat we've seen over the last few days, but still most likely 100 degrees or higher for most of us in the valley. Thunderstorms in the mountains. We could see even some thunderstorms here in the valley later this afternoon as well. All right, so let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. And you can see for the mountains, there's that break I have for Mount Shasta, but then there it is as we go into Tuesday of next week, maybe a chance for some more showers entering the picture here. Alturas, Susanville, kind of on the eastern side, on the back side of that remnants of Hillary, could be bringing some showers Monday and then possibly into Tuesday of next week as well. So I've got the thunderstorms in the forecast here later this afternoon for the valley. It'll be dry by tomorrow and should stay dry through the weekend. And notice the temperatures, they are dropping, and a big drop at that. We're talking low 90s as we go into Sunday and even into the middle of next week. And as far as rain is concerned, yes, we could be looking at the potential for some shower activity in association with Hillary Monday or Tuesday. The timing of that's still a little off right now. So as we get closer to early next week and as Hillary gets closer, we'll have to kind of take a look at that and kind of reevaluate what kind of chances for rain there are and if there's going to be the potential for thunderstorms as well.